Hi, I'm Mercedes Stephenson, and this is the West Block: politics, perspectives, and players.
On behalf of the Government of Canada, and I believe all Canadians, we are deeply saddened and, of course, shocked by the absolute tragedy that occurred in Beirut. I announced up to $5 million in terms of the immediate response to the crisis in Lebanon. 1.5 million of this will be dispersed immediately.
That was International Development Minister Karina Gould on Canada's response to the ammonium nitrate explosion in Beirut last week. 2,750 tons of this highly combustible chemical caught fire at a port and caused an explosion that killed over 100 people and left thousands injured. University of Waterloo political science professor Bessma Momani joins us now to discuss this. Bessma, you're an expert in this part of the world, a terrible tragedy, obviously, that has struck the people of Beirut. What does this mean for the people of Lebanon?
Well, I can't reiterate how awful the situation was before this explosion. You know, the economic crisis, the hunger, the frustration, the feeling of helplessness was at a peak, frankly, in a way that I've never, ever seen this country, at least in modern times. So then this hits, which has, as many of the viewers may know from seeing the images, has hit almost every home in Beirut in particular. Glass shard, glass everywhere in people's homes. The destruction that's physical is unbelievable. Certainly the long-term challenge of getting food in the country now that the port, which is brings in about 90% of all goods into Lebanon, being destroyed. It doesn't look good, and it doesn't help that it has, frankly, an incompetent government. So it, all in all, is the perfect storm of everything awful that could happen to a beautiful country and people.
Well, Bessma, I think that's one of the big questions people have. What was ammonium nitrate being done, stored in a port? This is a well-known explosive. It's been used in terrorist bombings for years. It's also a fertilizer many farmers use, but it's known to be an extremely dangerous substance. How will the Lebanese government be held to account for this?
Well, look, I'm sure there's some corruption at the port level that is probably going to be uncovered that really transcends even farther than the Port Authority to real key political backers. But the challenge here is that this is a shipment of cargo that was based on some dispute between shipping vessels, got unloaded in Lebanon, shouldn't have been unloaded in the first place, frankly. And then it just got lost in the bureaucracy of incompetent people, incompetent officials, the judicial process that wouldn't address the issue despite having a number of people on the ground now documenting, having alerted authorities to this. But frankly, it's not a surprise to, I think, many Lebanese that this happened because of the bureaucratic, incompetent, corrupt leaders that they have. This is what happens when you don't have good government in place.
Bessma, Canada has promised up to $5 million in support to Lebanon, not being sent to the Lebanese government, being sent through organizations like the Lebanese Red Cross. Do you think that that's enough to alleviate what's happened there? And what is the most effective way for Canada to deliver aid to the people who have actually been affected, given the concerns about corruption in the government?
So kudos on the Canadian government to deliver directly to NGOs and civil society on the ground who are phenomenal. They're professional, they're non-sectarian, they're not corrupt, they're fantastic, and kudos to them. So that's great that we are going directly to the people in some way. But frankly, $5 million is a joke. I don't even know why they even announced it. It's such a small number. You know, the average home in Toronto is $1 million. Really, this great G7 country could come up with only $5 million. So it's a bit funny, you know, with our great history, our great involvement, all the diaspora links and the rest of it. That we would have only such a small amount to give. But if we're going to give, and we need to give fast because there's going to be hunger, there was hunger before and there's going to be hunger now. This is an import-dependent country, and the main way of getting stuff into the country is now gone as a facility. So we need to get supplies. We need to talk about it at a larger scale, debt forgiveness, and help Lebanon get out of its mess with conditions of governance reform. That's the key thing. I really do believe that the Lebanese people can get themselves out of this. But one of the things that we've learned with sovereign debt crises of the past is at some point you got to say to the bankers, you're not going to get your money back. It's just the way it is because the debt does not come close to the amount of income that that country can generate for the foreseeable future. So an honest conversation about sovereign debt restructuring needs to happen. And I think some goodwill from international players to help get this moving along would be fantastic, with very clear structural reforms, including governance reforms, are required.
Bessma Momani, thank you so much for joining us with your expertise as always.
Thank you, Mercedes.